Hi, I'm Sal Sanders. We're going to be talking about a number of technology-related topics, especially emerging trends and technologies, modern design processes as they relate to developing educational programs, and a bit about time management, including implications for use of calendars and scheduling tools and the like. So I promise this won't be as long as that title slide. Let's get on with it. The goals for this particular lesson are to utilize technology to enhance personal or professional performance. And specific learner objectives include enhance personal or professional performance through the application of technology and offer practical suggestions to improve time management. Wi-Fi technology has become commonplace in both healthcare and educational institutions. In fact, many people, when they visit the university for a conference or a presentation, immediately want to know how they can access the Wi-Fi network. People want access to information. They want to stay connected with their smartphones and with their computers. Bluetooth technology has also become very ubiquitous. Everything from smartwatches and health monitors, activity monitors, wireless headphones, you name it, and it's been Bluetooth enabled now. Even within our cars, we have a lot of technology that utilize Bluetooth as a way of connecting and exchanging information. In fact, many people base a lot of their purchasing decisions now on the type of technology that's available in an automobile and the interface and its ease of use. Implant chips, chips implanted into pets with important healthcare information or important information about the pet's identity and owner and such. These make that information access very convenient for the veterinarian as well as the pet's owner. I'm not so sure what the pets think of it, but I think it's relatively pain-free. Virtual reality software is quite commonplace. We have simulators to train people for dangerous jobs, even surgery now. And virtual reality can also be used not just for educational purposes, but also for entertainment-related purposes as well. Automatic speech recognition is another emerging technology, and it's also a very integral technology, very important for healthcare settings as we move to electronic medical records. A few years back, I worked with some colleagues assessing emergency room physicians' perceptions of speech recognition technology, and we're currently working on some more research dealing with physicians and their use of speech recognition software. Voice over Internet protocol is another common technology that's ubiquitous across campuses, is placing phone calls. Personal software as a service. Software as a service was commonplace for businesses and industry, but it's become fairly commonplace now with Office 365 to be able to purchase a subscription of software instead of owning the software and installing it on your computer, utilizing that software as a service through the cloud. And then lastly, we'll just talk about facial recognition software. Years and years ago, they were considered to be advanced systems that there were cameras that could recognize the instructor's face and then follow the instructor as the instructor was delivering a lecture around a room. And now this type of software is even available on Facebook, and you can play around with it. So it's fairly commonplace now. Some other things that we can consider software as a service, there are various smartphone apps that are available. GPS map services that are available as software as a service where you can purchase a subscription and continually get updated information. Even some of the professional organizations such as the American Association of Respiratory Care have apps that we can download and utilize, as well as I mentioned previously Microsoft Office now. We talked a little bit about the differences between Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. This article by Camille Boulos and Wheeler discusses current Web 2.0 technologies that are commonly used in education, such as wikis, blogs, etc. And these are just a small part of what's currently available online. The authors also offer a glimpse of future software touching on Web 3.0 and how it can be combined with 2.0 to produce the definitive architecture of participation. And this would be the ability of web technologies to interpret and understand human-generated content, semantics, if you will. If you think about it, it would be really something, and it's already starting to emerge, where the systems improve and tailor search results, perhaps based on what you're currently working on. There are a number of respiratory care apps for the iPhone. These include apps from CHEST, the American Association for Respiratory Care, Respiratory Physician Journal updates, and respiratory therapy for decision makers in respiratory care, as well as the Respiratory Care Journal. Search around, see what you find. There's a lot of applications out there. As the overused phrase suggests, there's an app for that. So many of these are available for computer systems, tablets, and many mobile phones. Let's switch gears here just a little bit and talk about self-management. And this as it relates in the context of time management. And there's a saying that if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And that's kind of the case if you don't have a plan. The better you manage yourself, the better you can manage others. And so self-management is very important. And self-management helps us to make the most of personal resources, including initiative, organization, and the most valuable resource of all, time. Time is the great equalizer. We all get 24 hours each day. What we choose to do with it is what makes us unique. When you get a chance, I'd like you to take a look at The Big Rocks of Life by Dr. Stephen Covey. It provides a very powerful and important message regarding time and its importance in making us who we are and showing what we truly value. When we think about time and self-management, certainly many of us have a lot of things we have to accomplish, and we have to accomplish them within certain periods of time. So calendars and scheduling tools become rather important tools for our self-management. There are a number of these online tools such as Google Calendar, and another one there, 30 Boxes. These are effective calendar programs. It's not so much what you use. You pick one you like and find easy to use. More important is what you choose to do with it. Google allows you to create task lists, so you can have a to-do list and check those things off, making sure that you accomplish what you want to each day. And if you work in an Office 365 environment, it may be helpful for you to use the calendaring tool that Microsoft provides in Outlook, because people can send appointments to you. When you click on them, they go automatically right into your calendar. In fact, that's what forced me to start utilizing that, because I used to have everything on my Google Calendar, but then so many people kept sending me appointments utilizing Outlook that I finally had to switch over to it, because it just was so much more convenient to click on it and have it be added automatically to my calendar. You can also share calendars with people, which is also very efficient. But even if you do allow others to access your calendar, again, they have to actually use it and go in there and access that to see how they can schedule appointments to meet your schedule as well. Some software that's useful for scheduling meetings with multiple people, Doodle is one where people can go in, you can set up certain dates that you're available and allow them to pick, and then you can instantly pretty much see when the most people can attend the meeting. It makes it very efficient to schedule group meetings. Meeting Wizard is another such program as well. And then if you want to do conference calls but don't have access to a conference service, there is a service that I've utilized many times with just a regular phone, and it's called freeconferencecall.com. It allows you to make conference calls, and you can send out the information to have other participants join you on the call. Very helpful and free. Social bookmarking, these are programs that allow you to save your bookmarks so that you can access them from different devices. You can also see what others think of various bookmarked sites, and some of these sites include Diigo and Delicious. Touch base just a little bit on voice over internet protocol. These are sites such as Skype, TinyChat, ooVoo. These sites allow you to effectively speak with others without long distance charges. Skype allows you to have great experiences. I've used it successfully from as far away as Japan, calling back to Ohio, and saved myself a lot of money, and more importantly was able to communicate with people I love from a long distance away. Really a great service. ooVoo is really cool for video conference calls, so enjoy those and give them a try when you get a chance. There are a number of places that you can store things. You can store them locally on your computer's hard drive. You can store them in little USB drives. But you may also want to utilize virtual storage so that you have another place to store things. It's always good to have important information stored in more than one place. And really, virtual storage can be great for storing and sharing files with others. Backing up files is especially important. If you've ever lost anything, such as a giant paper you were working on, you know the importance of having more than one copy of that somewhere. So these types of storage devices, especially the virtual storage or cloud storage, also allow you to share files that have great management and educational uses by being able to share things with one another. So Google Drive is one of those. There are a number of these. Dropbox is another one that you're probably familiar with. And the cloud storage offers lots of choices, but one of the companies that's still out there selling cloud storage, Carbonite, and I have no affiliation with them, just one example. You can also create personal clouds that hook up to your computer and allow you a little bit more privacy control and be able to store things as a backup device and still be able to access it virtually yourself when you need to. We're going to be developing technology applications for instructional use and or managerial applications. And some of you may have access to a training team and can follow this process as it's outlined by Toth in the text Technology for Trainers. The steps are still the same even if you don't have a development team. You'll just have to take on some of the different roles, such as creating your own media, and we'll be covering some of that in this course. Toth outlines a 14-step process. The first step is a needs analysis, and that makes great sense. You'll want to conduct a needs analysis if one hasn't already been done. Sometimes it may have already been conducted and you know you have to create something to fill this need. But there's little use in developing a software program or an application that isn't needed. It's going to be a lot of time involved, and so you'd like to focus your efforts on the gap between learner behavior and the desired behavior. Remember that not everything is a training issue. Some things are just behavioral in nature. But if you determine that training will help to arrive at that desired behavior, then developing an educational application is in order. So not everything is a training issue, or another way to think of it is not everything's due to a lack of knowledge. Sometimes people know what to do, they just choose not to do it. And a good example of this is smoking. Most people are very familiar with some of the health effects of smoking, so providing more education on those may not change that behavior. If you're trying to get people to quit smoking, it may not be that you need to have a knowledge type program, but maybe one focused on behavioral change. Next step after the needs analysis is technology analysis. You want to think about things along the lines of how will the training program be delivered, what technology will be necessary to accomplish this, and think about the type of technology that your users are likely to use to access the system or the software. Learning objectives need to be defined. You want to think about what it is you want the participant or the learner to be able to do after they've completed the training, and these objectives should be very specific and measurable. Once the objectives are in place, you'll want to add additional information to create the outline or the roadmap, if you will. This will be useful for you and the developer if you happen to have a developer. Helps you keep organized, make sure you don't miss anything that's important, and will also keep you on track if you add some timelines to that outline. You want to identify a theme for the overall look and feel of the type of software that you're developing or the application, and it may be that this is determined by your institution. In some cases they may have certain corporate logos that have to be featured, certain colors that have to be utilized. They may even have a whole template for buttons and links and everything else, so they may have an actual style guide. If not, feel free to be creative, but keep things consistent. And you can also develop things like along a storyline, or maybe have a book motif for your program. There's lots of ways to be creative and have fun developing the theme that your application is going to follow. When you think about the technology level, you'll be thinking about how complex the program is going to be. So this could be anything from you're going to stand up and just use PowerPoint to deliver a talk, or it could be that the whole program is available online and there are logins and access codes and passwords and a whole bit. So consider how the users will participate, how they're going to access the program. For example, developing really cool Flash content may not be appropriate if your users will largely use iPads to access the content, because Flash doesn't work with the iPad. So you need to be somewhat tech savvy when you're deciding on the technology level as well. Step number 8 is to write content and storyboard your project. So the storyboard helps you to organize the project, and it's useful whether you're working with a developer or whether you're working on your own. It helps to make sure that you don't miss any important steps or forget and leave out some kind of important content. And it also should have some indication of navigation within the program so that you can make sure that when they click on a certain link or respond in a certain way that they're taken to the proper place in your program. So the storyboard helps to get everything organized and helps you to really start to see how the whole thing's going to fit together. And then step 9, plan and develop multimedia and graphics. This might include audio, such as narration or music. It could also include various graphics, such as JPEG images or PNG graphics. And it might also include animations. Step number 10 is to pass the program on to the developer, should you happen to have one. If not, you may be doing some of this work yourself, along with some others. And then number 11 is to, once the developer has developed a rapid prototype, you'll want to evaluate that rapid prototype and see what changes may be needed. Once you're satisfied with the rapid prototype, then the coding and development of the program in full begins. So you would code and develop the program, and although this may rest with a developer in some cases, learning some basic code is useful for everyone because it can help you in a number of ways. And then number 13 is to roll out the program or go live with it, if you will. And when you're doing this, you want to make sure you get the word out about the program that's now available. You'll also want to have a set time for users to complete the program so that you can get some feedback. And that brings us to step 14, which is to evaluate the program. And in evaluating the program, you want to get feedback from the learners who have used the program, find out their perceptions of the program and whether or not they felt it met their needs. But then you also want to make sure that you actually assess the learners to see if they now have the skills, if they've met those learning objectives that you set after they've completed the program. So there's a lot of work here to be done when you're developing an educational resource, but it's well worth the effort. And finally, I've posted a couple of discussion activities up on our website. One is to please share an example of a time-saving strategy you have found useful. And the second one is to post an example of technology that you use to help manage time or improve your productivity. Describe your personal experience with the technology, including strengths and weaknesses. I'll look forward to reading those. I always pick up a few pointers from things that people post. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day.